Hello guys, in this video we are going to watch together a new mini documentary from Bloomberg Original titled Chinese Grip on Africa is finally sparking a US response. So what is this response? Is Africa going to be the new theater of a proxy war? I don't know, we'll see what Bloomberg has to say. So this documentary is focusing on one specific part of Africa, which is the Copper Belt region. So this is a region where there is a lot of copper, cobalt, and which lie between DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Zambia. It happens to be that this is where we have our operation in one of our company. We have, I don't know, like 50 people that works for us there in a small scrapyard. So I kind of know what is going on in the region. So hopefully I will be able to add entertaining and insightful comment on this video. So
this rickety train running across Angola is at the forefront of efforts to loosen China's influence on this part of Africa. It's about to get hundreds of millions of dollars of US investment with one goal in mind: moving valuable natural resources from what's known as the Central African Copper Belt to the west. China has spent upwards of $1 trillion over the past decade on projects at least partly intended to secure the supply of elements that will underpin the upcoming technology, energy, and transport revolutions. Now, the US.
So yeah, just for those that don't know this region. So as he said, like China invested more than $1 trillion US. If you go to Zambia, to DRC, there's only Chinese. You can only see Chinese. I mean, I've never seen like one American. Maybe one American was like one geologist from Glencore or Trafigura, but this is the only American that you can see. Everyone is is Chinese there. All the copper mines are Chinese. All the cobalt mines are Chinese. For cobalt, there's maybe one which is owned by Glencore, but all the rest is of Chinese interest. So I don't know what the Americans can do to really shift the power game there. The only thing that really frightened me for DRC, because it's a very, very poor country, it's very difficult to be there. I mean, the only thing that I wish that is not going to happen is like, if for whatever reason the US is feeling that they have no way to get it back DRC, and that the price of copper is skyrocketing, and I know China and US is in an open war and they are fighting over resources, then it would be quite easy for another country to foment like a coup d'etat or to destabilize DRC, which would make it for the country impossible to export their materials and so on. There's already a lot of rebel groups. I mean, with a little bit of money and like 2 of IQ, you can just destabilize this entire region. So I do hope that we won't see that in the next 20, 30 years. But yeah, anyway, let's carry on.
US is trying to get back into the game.
They need to catch up with Chinese engagement.
I traveled across southern Africa to see just how much ground they need to make up.
Guys, they can't.
My journey will take me 1,200 miles from northern Zambia all the way to the west coast of Angola. My starting point is Chilila-Bombwe, at a copper project operated by the American company Cobalt Metals. One of the biggest challenges that American and European countries face in the coming decades as we tackle the energy transition is where they're going to source all the metals that are needed to fuel it.
The commodities coming out of countries such as Zambia and neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, which includes cobalt and copper, have made these countries important destinations for investment.
Many of the mines in this part of the world, especially in the Democratic Republic of Congo, are already owned and operated by Chinese companies. Cobalt Metals, as an American company.
Okay, so Cobalt Metal. So this is weird that they took Cobalt Metal. That maybe means that there's no other company. So Cobalt Metal is a very, very weird company. First, let's just see what I can find. Okay, so 200 million run for Cobalt Metal. So it's normal that a mining company raises money. But what is weird is you can see Bill Gates, Bezos, Jack Ma. Those are all tech guys. And yeah, so on their son Horowitz, this is a VC, so a venture capitalist. All those guys are they invest in technology, they don't invest in mine. And for one simple reason, in that the return, this is not the same type of investor, this is not the same type of return profile. With a mine, you can get a lot of money for sure, but this is not a scalable software like they know how to do in Silicon Valley. It has nothing to do. So I don't know, it's very weird. And another thing, like Cobalt Metals. Okay, this name, that means that the founder of the company is a huge geek, because a cobalt is a little monster that you fight in Dungeons and Dragons. And so if you are a geek like me, you know exactly what a cobalt is. And this is like a little lizard that live in a cave. Anyway, so I don't know what is going on with this company, but it's weird. Like, and look at the website. So Cobalt AI is accelerating the clean energy future by finding new deposits of lithium, cobalt, copper, and nickel. Okay, cool, man. So, but Cobalt AI, so basically they have an AI play. You know? So I guess this is what they sold to the VCs. Like, yeah, we are going to do, I don't know what AI, but man, real life, it's tough to scale. You cannot scale the same way that, anyway, this is just weird. And one thing is, I know nothing about AI, but I understand that all those AI algorithms, they are trained on dataset, on huge dataset, and the bigger the dataset, the better it is for the AI. And what I don't understand is that these companies are new companies, so how are they going to get as much data as possible to make their AI run on that, compared to the company that have been doing like for hundreds of years, like Vale, BHP, I don't know, Glencore. Anyway, I wish them the best, definitely. I think it's so difficult to be a miner, so props to them to do that, but I just don't understand. For me, it makes no sense that there is like technology people behind that. I mean, anyway, but maybe it will work. Maybe this is not going to end up like WeWork, where they took a real estate company and tried to make it a software company. I don't know. But even if it turns to be a WeWork, I mean, that would be a massive success, I guess. Anyway, so I wish them the best.
Cuts a lone figure, especially in Zambia. In fact, the US lost its last major foothold here in 2020 when the Arizona-based firm Freeport-McMoran sold a project in Congo to a Chinese competitor. With backing from Bill Gates and OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, Cobalt Metals is trying to change that. It has already pumped $150 million into its Zambia project. Drills are turning 24/7 as they try to prove early indications that they could be sitting on one of the biggest and richest copper deposits in the world. If their suspicions are ultimately proven correct, this could end up being a major new copper mine.
More than a kilometer below my feet lies enough copper in a high concentrated form to power over 100 million electric vehicles.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Please, please, please. This is so beautiful. I love good salesman. Please. Let's listen again what he said.
More than a kilometer below my feet lies enough copper in a high concentrated form to power over 100 million electric vehicles.
So, this is a good salesman because he gives you like an incredible image. 100 million electric vehicle. So, 100 million electric vehicles, enough copper. So I don't know, I think there is like 50 kilos of copper in each vehicle, something like this. So it could really be it, man. But I love good salesman. This is poetry to me.
But getting those metals out of the mines is only the first step. Almost as difficult is getting them from the mines hundreds of miles across to the ocean, to the ports, and onwards to their final consumers. Anything that comes out of the ground here could go east to China and Asia, or west to Europe and the US. That's where the Benguela Railway comes in. It runs from Kolwezi, 250 miles north of here in the
Yeah, we have a small scrapyard in Kolwezi. This is not our main operation, but we do have like a scrapyard there.
Democratic Republic of Congo. It cuts through the vast grasslands of Angola's Moshiko province to reach the port of Lobito. The line's 120-year history is a timeline of who wielded influence over the natural resources here. The railway was originally built by the British and Portuguese in the early 1900s. By the 1940s, it was of huge significance to the United States. All the uranium that went into the Manhattan Project was transported from a mine in Congo on this line. It was then largely destroyed during Angola's civil war that ended 2 decades ago. The country looked for new sources of funding as it sought to rebuild. In 2010, the Angolan government signed a contract with the Chinese State Railway Company to rebuild this line at an estimated cost of about $2 billion. Angola has taken out tens of billions of dollars of debt from China, part of which they are repaying with deliveries of oil from what is one of Africa's biggest crude producers.
So, and about that, why China is making so much loan to African country? So one could say that these are predatory behaviors from China. So if the African country collapse, then they would take like port, like I think it happened in Djibouti, airport, I think it happened in Djibouti, or in another country anyway. So that's one reason, I guess. But another reason is like I've never heard anyone speaking about that. Is for me it's quite simple. It's like for the Chinese, it's also a way to recycle their US dollar. China has too much US dollar stored in US debt, and the Americans, they're printing money like everywhere, like everyone. So they know that the value of their bond is just decreasing. So they need a way to offload their US dollar. And for them, it's like a win-win situation. So they can just give their US dollar to the African countries. And then if, they don't repay or something like that, they can just seize the asset.
All that Chinese investment was a precursor to Beijing's so-called Belt and Road Initiative, a massively ambitious global infrastructure investment program that China started in 2013.
I'm Hannah Ryder. I'm the CEO of Development Reimagined. 52 African governments have signed memorandums of understanding with the Chinese government on the Belt and Road Initiative. The World Bank hadn't until recently financed a new railway project on the African continent since 2002. Obviously, that's a major gap for African countries. So who could they look to? They could look to China, who did have expertise and also financing available on rail. Over the last 20 years, African governments have taken loans from China of around the value of $160 billion US.
That was all well and good when the Chinese economy was booming. It could afford to fund projects like this a lot more easily.
The slowdown in China's economy has resulted in a slowdown in lending to African economies. That implies that they're more selective with regards to the countries that they're lending to, particularly those that are highly indebted.
BRI spending on construction contracts and investment worldwide peaked in 2015 at $122.5 billion and tumbled to $72 billion in 2022. Meanwhile, investment in sub-Saharan Africa has fallen by more than 2/3 from its peak. That's created an opportunity for the US and G7 to step in and try to compete with China's Belt and Road. In 2022, they pledged to invest $600 billion in middle and low-income countries over 5 years.
I think there's been a realization from the US in the context of a broad competition with China that the African region could be an area where that competition could really play out. Since the 2022 US-Africa Summit, we have seen the pace of engagement from the US into African countries increase. We've seen more US leaders visit the African continent. We've seen many of the programs which were existing prior to the summit scale up their activity.
Countries like Zambia and Angola realize they stand to benefit from the competition if they play their cards right. The refurbishment of the Benguela Railway is just an example.
What we do need is actual infrastructure on the ground, and I think that President Joe Biden has already pronounced himself on that aspect regarding their readiness to assist in the construction of the rail line.
Yeah, Zambia, there's only Chinese there, so I don't know. Obviously, Zambia will take the US money, but it's already, I don't know. Anyway, it's weird.
The Biden administration has a grand plan to finance the refurbishment of this railway. That could include a new line built with the European Union from mines such as the Cobalt site. The total investment in the so-called Lobito Corridor project will cost the best part of $1 billion, including a $250 million investment from the US itself and another $555 million from a group led by the commodity trader Trafigura. Still,
Yeah, so by the way, I think hold on a second, let me check. Okay, so this is what you can see on the Trafigura website. So I think the first line is already finished, this one. Hold on, yes. Yeah, that's it, yeah. This is what I saw there. First 1,000 ton of concentrate shipment. A trial arrives at Angola, port of Lobito. Yes, so then, it's working. So that was the first trial. Yeah, well done. Well done to everyone involved in that project. That's a huge project, so well done to them.
Investment in the region from the US and its allies remains a fraction of what China has put into the continent over the past decade.
What's needed from the US is scale and pace of engagement. If you think about what happened in 2022, we had China backing 9 new African projects on the continent. In comparison to 2023, we had the US backing 3 new projects on the African continent.
Here in Lobito is where the journey ends. From here, Zambia's and Congo's copper will be loaded onto ships and transported onto global markets. Lobito, crucially, offers the quickest route to both the US and Europe. But African nations no longer simply want to ship raw materials to the world. Now that the US has woken up to China's head start, countries such as Zambia and the DRC can more readily demand investment in local manufacturing.
The biggest question for African countries is not about what US or China are getting out of Africa. The biggest question is, what are African countries getting out of their relationship?
Yeah, man, that's okay. So, oh my God. So the fact that they want their raw material to be transformed in their country makes a lot of sense because it's more value created in the country. But man, this is tough. It's very, very difficult to work in a country where there is like no base energy, when there is a low skilled worker. Of course, this is something that you can change, but it takes a lot of time. The cost of energy is also extremely high in all those African countries. It's very difficult for them to compete with anything out of Asia. So, and just to give you like an idea of how difficult it is to get product out of DRC, let's just see if I can find. Yes, so this is the article from Bloomberg. So just to give you an idea of this is the massive traffic jam when you want to cross from DRC to Zambia, and this is where our trucks are also stuck. I will try to see if I can find and put on my screen the videos that my partner Adriano made when he was at the border. This is ludicrous. So, and you want a quick tip on how people cross the border faster. So I shouldn't say that, but Evan, we are together. No one is watching this. So to cross the border faster, basically what happens is like the army from DRC, you can basically pay them at night. They come with like armor vehicle and so on, and you can basically pay them like $20, $50. I don't know how much it costs. So then you can move in their convoy, because when the army is there, you need to let them go through, and then they will escort you down the traffic jam if you pay them. So anyway, so that's the reality there. And man, this is but it's a very tough reality, man. I'm joking, but it's not easy, man. So look, so this is a picture that one of our truck was attacked, and attacked with a Kalashnikov. Someone shot our truck, and man, I think the driver got shot in the leg, but he's not dead. And this is wild. So, and this is the scrap that we are unloading. Anyway, so again, that was a very good documentary from Bloomberg. I think that you can see just by the numbers, I mean, the US is so far behind China. It's not even a competition because there is no competition. And as I said at the beginning, I really do hope that in the futures, no country will try to destabilize DRC to basically screw up with the Chinese interest there. So that's my hope, because I mean, we have employees there, we have people there, and it's a very, very tough country to be in. So yeah, anyway, what do you think about this documentary? Let me know in the comment below. Ciao.